Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Crewe Alexandra Virtual Fans Forum. Tonight, of course, we're joined by the club's board of directors, the manager David Artell, and most important, you, the fans, who have linked up to us via the Zoom link as we heed that government warning to self-distance and stay safe during the pandemic. Before we get into the evening, though, which is scheduled to last around about an hour and a quarter or so, I have one very important message and an apology to make. It does come from Jackie Weaver, who desperately wanted to host tonight's forum, but as you all know, she's still got a few problems to iron out at her Handforth Parish Council. So you've got me. Let's talk everything Crewe Alexandra. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're going to have a good night. As of course, we've been inundated with questions from you, the supporters. I think it's nearly 12 months since the last one that we held due to what's been going on, of course. And before we get into the questions from the fans on this forum, I'm going to ask our long-serving chairman, John Bowler, to open the fans forum and just describe in his own words how he's felt the last 12 months have gone, as well, under the restructured new board as well, John, which I think is the 12 months is the anniversary around about now.
It is indeed, and may I echo, Ray, a welcome to everyone. We're grateful, and I think on behalf of the board, the first thing I'd like to do is to say thank you so much to all our sponsors, and companies that work with us, our supporters, and particularly our season ticket holders. We've had a very difficult time, as other football clubs have as well, but we've all pulled together. We're using the time that, as you say, we have a new board that's working now very much as a team and taking us forward, and that's hopefully something that you'll hear a bit more about as we go along. So thank you for your help. Thank you to all the supporters and our sponsors, and it's great that at least we can have a night like this, because at least we can talk to one another, can't we, Graham?
That's right, John. We'll hear more from you. There's plenty of questions for you and the rest of your board, which is the whole board that are joining us tonight. I'm going to call upon the club's vice chairman now, in Charles Grant, how he's viewed this particular period as well. And what is your feeling, Charles, on how clubs in the EFL can overcome this tough time, especially with what happened last week as well, when that salary cap that was brought in is now being abolished?
Thank you. Hi, Graham. Yeah, well, it's been tough for everybody, hasn't it? It's been tough for families, it's been tough for football clubs, and it's been tough for the EFL. I think the EFL's done its best. At the end of the day, it's only a manifestation of the clubs, and I think to finish the season was a fantastic achievement. And to finish the season in second place was an even better achievement. The work they've done behind the scenes in order to try and secure bailout funds and such like has been terrific. And it is 12 months, as John said, since we saw the new board and we saw the new operation. And if you'd have asked anybody what they were expecting in the 12 months, nobody would have guessed, what we've had. But I have to say, I think the government's been supportive. Obviously, the EFL's been supported, and under great pressure, mainly from government, the Premier League's been supportive. So, the last 12 months has been a tough year, a really tough year. And it's been a lot tougher for other clubs that are not quite as well set and well run as we are. And obviously, it's been a very tough year down the football pyramid, for the likes of Nantwich Town, etc. So, but we're still here, and we're optimistic looking forward. So onwards and upwards.
Well, more from Charles throughout the night as well. With plenty of supporters asking questions to the board of directors. Let's get to the first question and say good evening to our manager, David Artell, as well, who's joining us. And the first question of the night comes from Jack Jones. And he says, Dave, I would like you to, if possible, outline a few of the scholars and young players that you feel particularly excited about coming through the academy at the moment. What do you think of how your players down the line are, and how excited are you for the future?
Thanks, Graham. First of all, good evening, everyone. It's nice to see into people's front rooms. Nice to see you all. With regards to the academy, we've got some groups that are better than others. That's for sure. The first year scholars are very good. There's one or two individuals behind that, but that first year scholars. So in a couple of years' time, there'll be pros. We've got a real good group there. And then obviously the lower down you get, it's a bit harder to predict. But as always, we pride ourselves on our development of young players. So we'll always have that production line. I think are we back fully functioning? I don't know. I think it's for others to judge, but we've just sold 2 players to the championship, so we can't be doing a bad job. So we've got it back up and running, and there's always players in our system. So the academy coaches do a fantastic job getting them to us, and we now carry that on and get them in the first team. And like I say, there's plenty in the system to keep me occupied.
Stick with you, Dave, because I'm going to go straight on to a first team question, really. This comes from Donald Fitzpatrick. He says, on the few occasions, not as much as it used to be years ago, we struggled against teams a little bit with the high press, the likes of Charlton and Portsmouth, Gillingham, and the teams that come to mind. Do you work on a plan B that you can say is well done to the word? Oh, sorry. Do you work on a plan B? And he's added another question. Well done on the free kicks and corners. What a great variety and skill there are. So there's a couple of questions there about working off the high press. How are you dealing with it? Yeah. Are you getting better? And on your set plays, really.
Yeah, I think the couple of the teams that was referenced in the question, certainly Charlton, the first game of the season, I think it took us as a team 4 to 5 games to get accustomed to League One, whether that were high press, mid block, whatever. I think we're always going to make mistakes. So that's how it turned out. With regards to Portsmouth, there wasn't a high press at Portsmouth. Just that when we had the ball near our box, we gave it them. We made real poor mistakes in our defensive third, and it wasn't under pressure. I have to say it was more us inflicting, or the infliction of mistakes was our own doing as opposed to anything the opposition did. However, the point is still that doesn't answer the point in terms of a high press. Of course, we tell the players how to beat the press. We tell them they can either go round, over, or through it, and it's up to the players to make that judgment call, if you like, on any given situation, whether that's first minute and they come flying at you, or the last minute and they're still flying at you. You've got to make. We'll still try and pass the ball. It might be a longer pass. It might be straight into the striker's feet because we're going over the press. So that's how to beat a high press, and we have to. And if you do beat the press, you're in a great position to then score a goal because it's usually 3 for 3 on the halfway line. Well, I'll take 10 or 12 or 15 of them opportunities a game if the other team think they can win it in our defensive third. So, in terms of a plan B, I wouldn't say it's a plan B as such. And fans tend to, if it's not working, do something different. It's the same way. It's just how we beat the opposition, and by you beat the opposition with a high press by beating the press. There's no, you don't have to have 3 million passes in your own defensive third. It's important to recognise what they're doing. I saw Accrington last night against Doncaster, and talk about high press. They were pressing them in Doncaster 6-yard box. So you'll see that next Tuesday. and we've got to make sure we beat the press. It's as simple as that. And if we do, then we've got a great chance of scoring goals.
Okay, Dave, let's bring in back the chairman coming in now with the next question. This is coming from Chris Shaw, and he would like to know if you can answer, John, what you feel, the ambition now of the board. You've had 12 months together. What's realistically the ambition for the club's board of directors for the future?
Well, I don't think it changes from the, if you like, objectives that we've always had. Those of us that have been at the club over the years. That's to play at the highest level of football that we possibly can, to be financially stable at all times, because Jimmy Rowlinson's father once said to me, John, remember there's two ways to go out of the league. One is to get relegated and the other is to go bankrupt. So just make sure we don't go bankrupt. And that's the way we've looked at it. But we've gone further than that. We want to play at the highest level that we can. And also to put our effort and our strategy very much into youth development, which we've done over the years and has been, if you like, the lifeblood of this club. Beyond that, we see our role in supporting our local community who support us and being a source of pride and involvement, both at the football club and, of course, at Shavington, where we do a lot of work with youngsters in the area who come to have their football there. So it's staying financially stable, playing at the highest level possible that we can, concentrating on youth development and, of course, our responsibilities and what we do take as serious responsibilities, the role that we play within the life of the local community. That's always been there, and I'm glad to say that the newer directors that have joined us have taken these objectives very much on board. They're very enthusiastic to play their role in helping us to how we can make changes, develop the various aspects of Clough life to take us forward and make sure we achieve them.
Okay, bringing Charles Grant back in now with quite a few questions to answer from one of the stalwart Crewe Alexander supporters who's done a lot for the football club in his time. It comes from John Ford, Charles, and you'll know him. He's a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So a nice official welcome from John Ford. He would like to know, in the light of the transfer deals that have just happened of Harry Pickering and Perry NG, we all know that probably Harry Pickering is probably the best left back in League One. Is £650,000 a fair price, which is being reported? In his opinion, it's not. I suppose there will be sell-ons, but you cannot guarantee them. Is it that the players would not sign a contract unless that figure was so low? In summary, we need the money for the wonderful academy to remain viable, and we cannot stand in the way of the players' future. Just my thoughts that Blackburn have got a bargain. Yours sincerely, John Ford, the Alex Forever. So if you want to go through that, Charles, we can digest it, and I can come back a little bit if you can't remember all those little points I've put to you. But there's quite a few there. I'd like your thoughts.
Good evening, John. Yeah, thank you. Well, I certainly agree that Blackburn has got a bargain. There's no question about that. Pixie is a terrific player. He's a super lad as well. He's a credit to our football club and to his family, for that matter. I couldn't comment specifically on the fee because we do have a contract to sell Pixie to Blackburn, and it very specifically stipulates that we do not disclose the transfer fee, and that's at Blackburn's request. Transfer fees very often get bandied about, but what I can say is that when you've got players such as Pixie, who's come through our academy and been, been such a fantastic lad and good player all the way through, managing a player from when they turn professional at 18 through to the age of 24, and 24 is very, very important. It's the age at which we lose any rights to any compensation whatsoever should the player leave. So ideally, what we would like to do with most of our players is get them to the age of 24. That way we're assured that should somebody try to steal them or whatever, then we'll get compensation. And that's the first important point to make. But the compensation model is very complex. And there are occasions when we're talking to players, say at the age of 21 or 22, just as you allude to, John, that they may not want to sign a contract. So we get ourselves to a position where we have to agree, we have to mutually agree a fee that we would let the player go for. And that was certainly the case with Pixie. And we agreed that, some time ago. So do I think he was worth more than we've actually got? Yeah, I do. But, you have to strike a bargain with the player because we can't stand in his way. And he's been a good servant and he deserves. And you strike a contract with the purchasing club. So, don't start from here. But in terms of what we agreed at the time, we were very happy. And of course, the real bonus, I suppose, with Pixie is we've managed to get him to stay for the rest of the season, because I don't think any of us in the boardroom, I suspect most of the fans, didn't think we'd managed to hang on to him in the summer anyway. But, the transfer market and players' contracts are, you could do a university degree on them and they change all the time. It's a very, very, agents that get involved, it's very complex. So could we do better? Well, we can always do better. I think on balance, 2 or 3 years ago when Pixie was agreeing these things, we were probably a bit happy. And obviously we wish him well.
Okay, so that leads us to Dave now, bringing Dave Hartel back into this fans forum. Good evening to everybody. I hope you're enjoying it. It's something new for us all on this virtual fans forum, but it's great to have all the board with us. There's questions for every member of the board who have joined us tonight. Well, I'm bringing the manager back in now because we just talked about Harry Pickering. We talked about Perry NG. There's a lot of talk on the supporters forums, Dave, and the messages of where you're up to with the contracts of the likes of, if we put them in no particular order, there's 4 players I think they're all looking at: Ryan Wintle, Callum Ainley, Omar Beckles, and Mikel Mandron. Is there anything you can open up to your supporters on where you are with that and how you're feeling it's going?
I could tell you that we're very close with one. We're ongoing with another. We haven't started with one, and we're nowhere near with one of the others.
So right, I'm going to get the one right then. I'm going to get the one right, and I'm going to go with. I should guess it's Ryan Wintle, probably, that you're nowhere near. Is that right?
You wouldn't look out of place on a game show that was a guessing game show, Graham. I think you'd win a lot of money.
Okay, then. So let's talk a little bit more about that then. Is there anything that could have happened that you might have got Ryan Wintle closer? And it might still happen. It might still happen that he might. But have you missed out anywhere, or have you done everything you can?
I think if you're saying would we do anything different, I'd be saying we lockdown didn't help. Could we have done something this time last year? Well, we started this time last year, but then lockdown happens and it's easy to then, I won't say hide. Hide's not the right word, but it's easy to drag things out, and suddenly you're in October, November, and the next thing you know, there's 6 months left on the contract. So we have got better with that. We've lost very few players that in situations that we didn't want to happen over the last 2 or 3 years. There's still, like Charles just alluded to, with contracts, there's always ways to do things and improve things, but it's so difficult. It's so difficult. Nobody has to pick up the phone. That's for sure. It's as simple as that. So, you know, trying to get agents to do something that they might feel is not in theirs or their client's best interests, you know, it's very difficult. You know, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, we got Kirky, Ainley, and I can't remember who was the third one, all to sign a contract when they was running out of, you know, time. It might have been James Jones.
He signed along to him.
Yeah, and that was really difficult. And these challenges present themselves, I have to say, and it's a continuing cycle. At the minute it's Ryan Wintle, you know, next year who it'll be. And, you know, we have got better at that process. We have got a sort of contract planning strategy in place to try and mitigate the risk and alleviate the loss. And I think that to this point has proved extremely fruitful. But every now and again, one will, I say, slip through the net. There's no, it doesn't matter. We could have all the strategies and policies and what we want in place. If they choose to apply their trade elsewhere, there's nothing we can do. So, you know, with some players, there's a greater allegiance to this football club than others, and that might be the case with one or two.
Just talking about, I know you don't want to, because it's delicate talking about players' contracts, but Mikel Mandron and Omar Beckles, they only signed a 1-year deal, didn't they? That was you've handed out a couple of good long-term contracts for a few people. I suppose in hindsight, I bet you wish you'd have done that now, how well they've done for you. Yeah,
it wasn't because we didn't offer him. You're assuming we only offered him 1-year deal. I'd have signed them both on 4 years last year. They didn't want to sign 4 years.
Right.
That's the truth. So I'm not stupid. I think I know a good player when I see one.
Yeah, but you're working on that. Fingers crossed. You've got your one close, and fingers crossed, another one who's still at the club and still enjoying it and has become a better player, that you can get a bit longer deals for the football club. You see them as a part of the future.
Yep, I think everyone does. I think every Crewe Alexandra fan sees that any of them 4 players that we're talking about we'd like to see next year in a Crewe Alexandra shirt. So we'll keep working hard. It's incessant because the games are incessant. So, you know, we'll keep pushing things on as quickly as we can, and hopefully we'll find, you know, acceptable resolutions for all parties, and, you know, so that we have a good team next year as well as this year. Okay, Dave, thanks for going into that as well. That's not easy to talk about players' futures, but I think that's enlightened quite a lot of the Crewe Alexandra supporters of where they are with the players. The main players are out of contract, and Dave's just answered that. I'm going to bring John Bowler back into the equation now, because this is an important question that's come through, and it's a different angle to the playing side, but it's definitely in the domain of the football club, and it comes from Tim Robinson, who's asking John to just answer this particular question and enlighten him what's going on. The board previously said it would be at some point break its silence over the Barry Bennell affair and have its say. Can you enlighten us on what the next steps are? Can you also let us know whether the club intends to try and approach the ex-Crewe players that were victims of Barry Bennell and apologise, or take other steps to repair bridges? So if you want to answer that question as well as you can, John, which I'm sure you will do, it's from Tim Robinson.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Well, the Barry Bennell affair, as you referred to, is really part of a very major project that is being sponsored by the FA through the Sheldon inquiry. Now, I don't know when, but I would anticipate that the Sheldon inquiry will probably be published probably within the next month or two. And therefore, I don't believe it would be appropriate for me to comment much further until the inquiry is published. Other than to say that we cooperated with Sheldon in all the questions and in all the information he was seeking regarding Crewe Alexandra. And we were complimented on the fact that we supported that by, I know Alison and Rob Wilson were making a lot of inquiries with supporters, players that had been here in the past to find out where they were so that the Sheldon people could talk to them. So we have cooperated with them throughout. It is an FA inquiry, it's a national study, and therefore beyond that, I think I should not comment further until I've seen that report. And then when we've seen that report, that's at the time when we will make our feelings felt.
Okay, John, thanks for that. Let's move on. Let's bring in Jimmy Rowlinson. I think he's with us, Jimmy. You got in, did you? I know you waited quite a long time. You just got a thanks from Tim Robinson there, John Bowler, for your answering that question. So thanks for Tim for joining us tonight. So this is one for Jimmy Rowlinson. Just on the contract players, really, of where we were with the two lads who are, well, one's doing exceptionally well in the championship, and I think since they signed him, they've now got him close to the playoffs. So he must be a good signing, and we'll wait and see what Harry Pickering does at Blackburn next year, of course. But as we all know, Perry NG, Jimmy, was out of contract and would have gone on a free transfer. In that context, the fee that we got for him was excellent work by the club. However, was the transfer fee, which we have been discussing with Charles, the fee for Harry Pickering a little bit on the low side? But the big question is asking, if the fees hadn't have come in for Perry and Pixie, how twitchy were the board getting about the financial situation at the football club with the way it's been gone over the last 12 months? Good evening, Jimmy. Have we got anybody who wants to pick up on that? I know Jimmy was waiting. I think he was on the train waiting, and it's late. I think he's got on the wrong line. Is anybody there who might just want to answer that? If I can repeat the question.
I'll take it, Graham.
Go on, Charles. Yeah, thank you.
I can see Jimmy. I just don't understand why. Sorry, why he isn't in. But
he's probably on mute.
Can't really comment on how often the board is twitchy. We've been very twitchy over the last few years, I can tell you. And a lot of that has been shared with the fans of various forums over the last few years. So as a relative statement, not very twitchy, I don't think. The last 12 months has been tough. I mean, it's been tough. It's been tough for everybody. And we had the chance with Perry. We had the chance with, we had numerous bids for Perry. The fact is he went for his buyout clause. And as I explained earlier, the fact is that Pixie went the same. So that changes the board's, if you like, immediate financial concerns. But we would have been able to operate without having sold Jimmy or Pixie or
Perry.
And we do not plan every year to sell players. That is not in our plan. We know that players can be sold. Well, they're not sold, of course, they're bought usually. So Jimmy would know, because he's been on the board a long time, just how twitchy we were. I would venture to suggest that he would say, not as twitchy as we have been. How's that?
We've all been there for a few years, so we know what it means. Thanks for that, Charles. Let's hope Jimmy can get in with us a little bit later. I'm going to go to the other Mr. Bowler on the board now, and that's Mark Bowler. And good evening to Mark. And this is one from Chris Wally for you. It is, if you can answer to this particular question, it's a little bit trivial, he says, but are there any plans on reviewing the club badge? As the badge from the 1980s, early 90s was much more iconic, in my opinion, and is the badge I immediately associate Crewe Alexandra with. We also still don't know fully the reasons why we changed to the current badge from the late 90s onwards. Evening, Mark.
Evening. Well, it's not a trivial question because I know a lot of people love the different styles of the badges anyway. I think really during the 1990s, as it was, the club went through a lot of changes. The ground got really developed during that time. Obviously, the new main stand was it 1999? I think that one was finally completed. And I think really it was down to us actually developing and changing the image. And one of those was obviously the change of the badge at that time. Was that good, or some people have never known it to not have a wheel or have a wheel, and some people like the new version. Some people like to revert back to the older version. I would say that nothing is set in stone, and it's something that we could revisit. It would be an expense, I suppose, if you want to look at the amount of public, stuff that we've already got with the new badge on compared to the old one. But we can always revisit it. I know the guys are looking at doing a retro shirt in the future, so hopefully Chris will want to buy that. But that's going to be being announced by the publicity guys who we've got at the football club. So I'm not going to take away any of their information that they want to put out. But hopefully that's giving some information, whether it's a great answer, good answer, or whatever. I would say it's basically as much as we can say.
Okay, thanks for that, Mark. Let's get a bit of interference, but I think we're all okay to continue. Our next question goes to Mark Bevan, who was also sitting on the board as well. Got Charles on the phone now.
Talking to Jimmy, trying to work out why he's not here.
I thought you were signing a player or something, letting us know. Anyway, we're going to talk to Mark Bevan, of course, and this is from Tim Hawke. He says it was great to see the fans come together to raise the money for Project 250. Unfortunately, I couldn't raise the funds at the time due to having a new hip. Can the board tell me how the Railwaymen's Society, though, have integrated into the club? Also, what has happened so far and what are the plans for the future? That's to Mark Bevan.
Evening, Tim. Evening, everybody. Integrating into the board was made a lot easier because I wasn't the only one. There were 5 new board members, so that definitely made it a lot easier. I wasn't on my own. I'm not quite sure it would have gone quite as easy if it had been just me. So the integration has been relatively straightforward. I'm not sure I'm the right person to ask if it's gone well. I think it's gone well, but maybe you might have to ask the other board members to see whether it's they feel as the same as I do. But it certainly feels as though we've been made welcome, and I feel like we're all contributing to a very exciting board now and exciting times ahead. So the integration has gone very well. In terms of what the Railwaymen have done, the very first thing we did was, apart from raising the money, which was I'm still trying to get over, I think that was an amazing achievement. Apart from that, we ran a survey very early on during the first lockdown to our members. We got a reply of about 365 people who came back to us, just telling us what they would like to see from the fans' experience of the ground and surrounding the ground, and things that they might wish to improve. And we got a good response, lots of ideas, some we already know about. But anyone who's been in the concourse, in the main stand, has seen that the TVs were out of date, and you couldn't really see them. They were too small. So that was one that was top of the list. We've obviously always had the scoreboard that's been on the agenda, so that was mentioned. We've all queued for a drink, whichever bar you go to. So that's something as well that we wanted to address. So all these things we actually then went back to. I was able to go back to our board, the Crewe board, and actually just present them with a list and the ideas, and and give them the feedback that our supporters has done. And as a result of that, the TVs went up very quickly in the concourse. We were very much hoping that we'd be able to have everyone back watching them and enjoying the beverages and drinks and food. We think we've resolved the problem regarding a lot of the queuing issues, which we identified as being down to old tills and maybe the way that things were actually organised in the tea rooms. So we're excited, and hopefully when we're all back together watching it, you'll see some big improvements. One of the other things that was talked about was improvements to some of the lounges, obviously the Carlsberg Lounge and the Alexandra Suite. And so they're on our sort of hit list, if you like, things that we want to do. So that's kind of where we've been this year. Going forward, our own organisation, the Railwaymen, have got a few subcommittees which are going to take some of these ideas forward. We want to reintroduce the Junior Reds, something that I'm quite passionate about because I was one in the early 1970s. So we've got a committee for the Junior Railwaymen. We're also going to open up the membership to people who couldn't take part in the actual share offer. So that'll enable people to join us and become part of the society. We've got a committee for the Alexander Suite, which we're looking at trying to make some improvements in there. And we've also got a diversity group. So we're looking at various options, various things. We're going to put some proposals to the club to see what things we can do before we all meet up when the new season starts. But one thing I just would say is that we need your help. The supporters have got to help us to be able to help the club. So we need you to tell us what things you might want doing, or complaints you might have, or improvements you would like to see. Things are looking good, but we need you as much as the other way around. So please get in contact with us, and if you can help us in any way, just get in contact with the Railwaymen either via our website or one of the social media sites, or just get in contact with me or Scott or any one of our directors.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. That was an in-depth reply there. So lots of things going on and lots of things to look forward to at the Alexander Stadium. Now then, this is going to be an interesting one to answer because you're going to have to please the manager. Mr. Ian Williamson, come to the front, please. Now, you've got to please the manager here. This isn't inputting the question, though. This is Simon Cope, I think, or Cy Cope. Would like to ask, there's been a lot of talk, Ian, around the state of our pitch and other pitches around the country as well, not more so than the last away game. Is there a reason for the poor pitch, and are the club looking to do anything about it? Good evening, Ian.
Evening, Graham. Hi, Graham.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Did you hear the question?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to answer
hi,
it?
Graham. Hi, Si. Thank you for your question. Reference to poor pitch, I have three main points. Firstly, unfortunately, due to the pandemic lockdown, we could not do our normal pitch renovations. At the beginning of May, the uncertainty as to whether the 1920 season would restart or not. Due to this, we took the decision to sand and overseed the pitch. Normally, we would remove the top 3 inches of the pitch and replace with fibre sand and reseed and vertidrain. Secondly, we've had brutal weather. It's been a very wet autumn, lack of sun, and extremely cold January to February, meaning the sheet has had to be put on the pitch. Thirdly, the season started September, usually starts August, so we played more matches over the winter months than normal. Going forward, our plan is to improve the stadium pitch, removing the top surface, replacing with fibre sand, levelling the pitch, reseeding and vertidraining. This will be done early May, or if we are in the playoffs, later in May. Hopefully, the new season will start early August, allowing more time to play matches, spreading out the use of the pitch. Thanks, Graham.
Thank you very much, Ian. That's all the facts and figures about the ground then. Let's bring back the
Obviously,
manager.
just regarding the Peterborough game, that was the worst pitch we played on for years. And it was very difficult for both sides to play football on that.
Well said, Ian. Well said.
You got away with one there. Oh, dear. You got away with that one. The pitch was to blame. Okay,
I didn't say that.
Let's keep the gaffer. Let's keep the gaffer on his toes, and let's bring him back in. I've got a question here, Dave, from Josie Hamer, who says, in view of recent negative publicity around young footballers who don't achieve their ambitions, what advice, guidance, and support are available to young players and their parents to help them cope with potential disappointments that, as we all know, football can bring?
There's what I would say is, as a first point, this doesn't happen in any other profession. So if you become a bricklayer at 18 and throw a brick at somebody's head, or make a mistake, build a wall wonky, it's not expected that that employer tries to find you a new job at a bricklayer, another builder. So anything that the football industry in general does is outside the norms of what is expected. However, we at Crewe make sure throughout the whole process, so it's not just sort of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. I think it's more important at 9, 10, 11, 12, to be quite honest. We make sure that they are fully prepared, really, by not promising them anything. And the biggest people that we don't promise anything to are the parents. Parents can get very carried away, understandably so. Whereas we keep a very rational, very calm approach. If their son's good, that doesn't mean anything. He's just good at that time, at that age. So we don't promise anything, and we make it known. That's easy for us because we haven't got the resources to sort of go against our culture, if you like. Whereas there's plenty of clubs that give mums and dads houses and jobs, and it goes on. We haven't got that resources to do that. So there's not the belief or the expectation. So then when it all comes crashing down, it's worse for the boy or the parents. So we're fortunate in one sense, because before they go into that process, they don't have as great expectations as others might at bigger and better resourced clubs. So even if it does happen, we will make sure that we circulate their name. We will call them. We will try and get them another football club. We will, there's plenty of. I was talking to Lee Bell this morning, and he's done a PDF, a different PDF that can get distributed to other football clubs, an updated one, and it's stuff like that and if we can get them stuff. So we had a boy who was released last year, called Malachi Linton, who was a second-year scholar, got released. We ended up getting him a trial at Wickham, and he signed for Wickham, in the Championship. And it's little things like that, and we try and do as best we can. Alex Hurst is across the road at the Vale. So we do things like that, and we wish them well. We do wish them well. But I don't have an issue, but I do. People. I saw something on the local Granada News. I think it was a 21-year-old goalkeeper who said, "I didn't get any support." And I'm going, "You're 21. That's." I wanted to say that's life, pal. Now that sounds so harsh, and I appreciate it's harsh, but we can't mollycoddle adults. That's the truth. But we've got to do our best to ease that transition to a different football club, and we will, and we do, and we're very good at it. I don't think there's many people that will say that Crewe don't look after their players. In fact, I think we pride ourselves on that. So, I think we do a good job on that front.
Okay, there's a couple of thanks for that, Dave. I'll be back with you in a moment or two's time. But there's a couple of directors been waiting patiently, and we're going to go to Tony Davison now. First of all, good evening, Tony. This is from Carl Veltons, who says the club's social media and online efforts have been very impressive over the last year. I'm pretty sure it is Carl Veltons and not James Beckett and Ben Breeze writing this letter. Well done to everyone involved. Is the World Wide Web an area we will continue to develop and invest in? And do you think we should? That's to you, Carl, to you, Tony. And Carl Hancock, you're coming up next with another interesting question. Good evening, Tony.
Evening, Graham, and thanks, Carl, for your question. You're absolutely right that James and particularly Ben have done a fantastic job in the last year in improving our presence on social media and driving up the number of followers, etc. We've got something in the order now of 10,000 followers in the UK on Facebook, which, considering where we were not too long ago, is a tremendous achievement, and I think demonstrates, you know, the widespread reach that the football club has, not just locally but right across the UK, and we're absolutely convinced we can build on that. One of the things the new board have done is we've set up a new small commercial working group to look at how we can build and grow the reputation and the reach of the Alex, both locally and regionally and nationally. And in fact, yesterday we spent 2 hours in a small group with the help of some outside people looking at exactly this subject of how we can best use the internet and our website to, you know, both drive commercial revenue, but also to increase our awareness using, you know, social media and everything else. So it is absolutely on our radar. We'll almost certainly have to invest in this in the future, but it's such a fast moving area. We've just got to make sure that if we spend money, we spend it in the right place. We don't waste it. You know, we don't have endless funds, and you can make expensive mistakes in this area. So we've got to make sure that we devise a strategy that will, you know, do what we want it to do and make maximum use of what investment we care to make in the future. But yeah, to answer the question, we've done you know, Ben in particular has done a really good job in improving our social media. There's a lot more to be done, and it's absolutely on our radar.
Okay, Tony. Well, a man who goes a long, long way now, of course, was born in Crewe, but is based down in the Devon, lovely Devon area. He gets all around the country watching the Alex, but it's been a bit different this year, of course, for Carl Hancock because of COVID and the restrictions. So, Carl, how have you found the iFollow, and what do you think of it? Is that the future? What do you make of it? Is it better? Is it better when McGarry and Morse are not on, or is it worse? The gaffer's waiting to jump in. I can see him. Look at him. Hey, look at him. I've got to go. Sorry, Bob, I'll come and wash the dishes.
Yeah. I think you better go in for the next 30 seconds.
Do you want me to talk about mentioning Port Vale or the chip shop?
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, brilliant. Nobody's got the bingo up yet anyway. Go on.
Yeah, you're right. I am based in Devon. It's a long way. I think I've gone from being the closest director to the Alex, living 100 yards away from the main office, to 210 miles away. So it's a 3.5 hour journey for me each way. I don't mind it. I get to watch football. I get to see my family. I've got business in Crewe as well, so it's not such a pain. Just on iFollow, for me, and I think for everybody, I think it's been fantastic. I think it's helped enormously during lockdown. Can you imagine what lockdown 3 would have been like without iFollow and without any football to watch? I think the negatives for me are Saturdays seem to go on forever until 3 o'clock without having that pre-match pint or that pre-match experience. But on the whole, no, I think it's absolutely fantastic. You know, the one thing I'll say is I've watched quite a lot of iFollow commentary of other matches. I've been watching Cardiff recently with Perry NG, and obviously Premiership matches as well. And I hate to say it, Graham, but your commentary and Pete's commentary is absolutely superb. I think the enthusiasm you show, the facts that you show, the insightfulness from Pete is truly amazing. And I think, you know, I think if you do get to listen, or fans do get to listen to other I Follow commentary, you'll realise how good you two are. So thanks very much for that. And was that the correct answer?
Yeah, checks in the post. We've been setting that up for a week. Come on, Gaffer, have you say?
No. I think he's spot on.
Yeah. Well, you've already got rid of Morsey, so it's only me next, and I'll be the next one off.
Yeah.
We've finished. Anyway, we're going to come back to you with a bit of tactics now. Stand by, Stuart Whitby. Your time is coming. Don't worry. We know you're in the building. Stand by, Stuart Whitby, another director, of course, waiting to answer a question. Well, first of all, this is from Daz on Twitter, Dave. Why do we never try out? No, it's not to do with throw-ins, because I've stopped all that one, and we scored 2 throw-ins at Wimbledon this year. So that was in my commentary. So that's gone out the window. Now they've got a new one, and it's why do we never try out-swinging corners? I may be wrong, but I can only think of one goal we have scored from an in-swinging corner all season. More often than not, we seem to float them in with very little pace. So I don't agree with that one myself at the end, but you can answer it. You're the main man.
I think the honest answer is we asked the heavy artillery, the ones who are going to head it, do they prefer in-swingers or out-swingers? And they said in-swingers. That's the truth. That's the bottom line. There might have been wrong. The stats might suggest that out-swingers are more likely to lead to goals. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it. What I would say is I'd rather the players who are going to head the ball believe before the ball's been kicked that they're going to get on the end of it, whether that's in-swingers or out-swingers. In terms of floated in, I completely disagree. That's he must have pressed pause on the iPhone. On slow motion. They're certainly not floated in. And we have tried, we've had one comment earlier that we've tried a bit of invention. Kirky's goal at home against, I can't remember who it was against, it was a great little move. And I was at a game on Tuesday night, and Mark Venus, the Blackburn manager, Blackburn assistant manager was there, and he said, that goal you scored from that corner, we'll try that one. We thought it was brilliant. So, these things happen and these things work sometimes, and sometimes they don't. You've got to remember that the opposition are trying to stop you. So it's, the likelihood of it happening is, when I say remote, it's not likely to happen unless you devote a hell of a lot of time to it. And some teams do. There's definitely some teams in our division that devote a lot of time to set pieces, but we're not one of them. We would rather work on technical stuff and scoring goals and other means, and I think we've done that quite well this season. So that's I hope that answers the question.
Okay, let's bring the chairman back in now with another question for him. We're looking towards the future. We've still got a couple of questions about the future to come up. This is from Andy Griffiths, John, and he says the club has been through a very difficult last few years, and especially with what's happened in the last 12 months with COVID, and has come through looking stronger and come through with flying colours as well, because we've also won promotion to League One. We've had great success, good management team. What do you think, what can you tell the fans the long-term plan is? Where you used to have that 5-year plan, that business plan, when the legend Dario was around, and that always happened, and it's come back in now with Dave and his staff in charge. What, as you as the chairman, what do you see as the for the future?
Well, that's an interesting one. As I said earlier on this evening, we have this, we call it a mission statement. We have an outline of ambition. I see us continuing to concentrate and put a lot of effort into youth development. I still see that at the centre of what we're doing. We have been through a difficult time. We've got quite a lot of, as Ian was making the point with the pitch, we've got a lot of catching up to do on the capital expenditure side of things. But we've also got a new team, which is working well, and they're playing a very active part in everything that we're doing. So I think my motto is the past in terms of football, the community, the work that we do, the time past that we've had those objectives, I would stay with them. It's just, we're in a changing world, and as a board, we've got to plan for the future, I think, to do what we've done in the past, but better, because we can always improve, and we want to be an active board rather by being influenced by outside investments or, you know, outside restrictions. I'm very optimistic about what already the board team are doing. Credit due to them, and I think it bodes well for the future.
The future. Well, what a word that is, future, because that brings me to Stuart Whitby now. Good evening, Stuart.
Good evening. What makes you think I'm the future?
Oh no, it's just a question that has got to be answered, and the question is directed to you, and here it goes. Where is the scoreboard?
That's a good question. That's a question that's been asked year in, year out, Graham. I was hoping it'd come up. It's a great question, simply because all of the fans want a scoreboard. It'd be great. But before we talk about that, I'd just like to express a personal thank you to all those fans and supporters, season ticket holders, and sponsors indeed, who've stuck by us in this terrible pandemic. It's been a really tough time for everyone. But the fact that we have all stuck together, to me, is just a perfect reflection of what a good community club Crewe Alexandra Football Club really is. But yes, we've been looking at the scoreboard for some time. Before I joined the board, the directors were looking at it. But we've actively pursued that. And I think in a minute, Ben can show you an image of what it could look like. Can we put that on screen, Ben? There you go. This is a screen by ADI, who are a world leader in screens. You'll see them at all the Premiership clubs, Championship clubs, and major stadiums around the world. It'd be fantastic. You can see where it is. It replaces the current clock. The problem is that a screen is a massive investment, and it's not easily achieved. However, we've worked with potential sponsors, partners, and so on, and we've lined up Nantwich Veneers, a local company, and also KPI Recruitment, another local company, who would become major sponsors of the scoreboard. To pull it off, there's two major costs. It's not just a screen, it's the steel work and the groundwork, the foundations have to go, because if you imagine, that's like a giant sail in the wind. So it's all substantial, and the costs are almost evenly split. We've negotiated what would be a very good deal with ADI and Pioneer Construction, a locally based company who build big steelworks nationwide. They generously offered to, well, basically a very generous deal for them to do the steelwork. Added to that, Mark has already said what good work the railwaymen are doing, and we've asked Mark to ask his members if they would contribute to the cost of the scoreboard for this to get it up and running. And then to top it off, many of you will have had a news flash at 7:30 this evening. The club have launched the new Red Lion Club, which is a membership club, which basically you pay £5 a month per membership. You can pay for 2, you can pay for 3, pay for 4, or each of your family can have one, or you can pay it, if you don't want £5 a month, you can pay £60 a year. And that will help fund a scoreboard. The initial prizes would be a weekly draw of £100, 2 bonus draws, one at the end of the season of £250 and one at Christmas. And if we can get sufficient membership, we'd then perhaps look at having additional draws each week, maybe like a £25 draw as well as the 100. But ultimately, it's to bring money into the club and to help fund a scoreboard. And on the strength of all that, we put a proposal to the board last week during the board meeting, and the board unanimously supported it and voted in favour. And on the strength of all that, we've actually paid a deposit today to ADI to produce the screen. And the plan is to get the scoreboard up and running at the end of June. So hopefully we've got fans back by then, and you'll be able to come in at pre-season friendlies and see it there. And it's there for the future. So I'm really proud to say we've actually got it over the line. So thank you everybody who's helped us do that.
Terrific news, outstanding news. I can't believe it, Stuart. You're out of date.
Go on.
It's got Crewe 1, Port Vale 0. They're not in the same league.
Perhaps ADI didn't realise that, and I'd not noticed it.
Somebody's putting there, we'll never play him again. I've just had a message sent.
Oh, that's a good one.
Anyway, I'm going to go to, we're coming to the end of the evening now, and I'm going to wrap it all up. I hope all the fans have enjoyed it. I hope that, we've gone through a lot of questions, a lot of areas. We finished off with something that the fans have been hoping that was going to happen for a few years. It's finally going to come. It's away from the throw-ins. So the final words are, first of all, I'm going to go to the manager, Dave Artell, to just talk us through how he feels it's all gone for him in his first season in League One, well, 3/4 of the season in League One, and how he feels the future will be, and how big of a job has he got in the recruitment side in the summer.
I think we're making a good fist of it, but I'm never satisfied. We should have more points. I was talking to a TV man today who's an Ipswich fan. He'd come and done some filming at the ground, and he said we're the best team that they'd seen at Portman Road. The fact that we lost the game 1-0 is a bit like the Crawley game 2 or 3 years ago that we lost 3-0 down their place, and however we lost that, and however we lost against Ipswich. So there's definitely room for improvement. Are we heading in the right direction? I think everyone would agree we are. There's got to be more to come. Going into the summer, there is potentially, not necessarily, but potentially a higher than normal number of, or a higher than normal turnover of players. So in virtually every summer, it's been evolution, not revolution. And I think this summer, not that revolution is always a word associated with massive upheaval and change. There'll definitely be lots and lots of things that stay the same, but it might be 6, 7, 8 players as opposed to 3, 4, 5 players. It might even be more, depending. So, it's going to be a busy summer. It might be beneficial that I won't be able to get away. And lockdown, that might be a blessing in disguise. But as always, they're always busy. All summers are busy. So look, we've got all to play for. I think we've got 18 games left. We're giving ourselves a right good chance. 2 years ago, we missed out on getting into the playoffs on the last game of the season because results didn't go our way when we beat Forest Green 4-3 at home. And I don't want that to happen again. So we've got a great chance. We've got some real tough games coming up. The next 6 or 7 games are some real toughies. But that's why we're in this league. Who doesn't want to play Sunderland, Doncaster? I saw Doncaster last night. They're a good team. We've got Aki, we've got Lincoln, we've got all lots of good teams. So, we've got to believe that we can get there because we can. and give it his best shot. We've got an 18-game season, and we're certainly better off than where we started. There was talk of, in some quarters, about relegation. That was never in my mindset. And then we'll see where we get to, and we've already started on the summer recruitment. We started a couple of weeks ago. As soon as January was over, we started, and that'll, alongside contracts and renegotiations and what have you, hopefully we'll be in good shape going forward for the rest of this season, and then even better shape, going into next season, in another season in League One or even the Championship.
The ambition's back. There's no doubt about that from the management side and the players' side. Let's have the final word with John Bowler. Quite a lot of fans are coming back with messages saying it's been terrific to listen to everybody with very open answers and very positive answers and telling the truth as well. That's what we want as supporters, and that's what I'm pretty sure you lead the way for, John Bowler. It's your final words to say to your supporters, and obviously it'll be going out on the official website tomorrow, that your message comes from the chairman.
Well, what I'd like to do, Graham, is to repeat what I said right at the beginning. We've been through a difficult period in the recent past. We're through that. We were then challenged with all that the COVID vaccines and so forth, wanting to get the COVID, all the problems that it presented for us. But through all that time, our sponsors have supported us, our supporters have supported us. Hopefully tonight, we've said we're ambitious, we can see the future, where we're going, and together, and it is really together with our supporters, because at the end of the day, you own the club, we'll take it forward with you, and thank you very much. Stay with us, because the optimism and the commitment is still there.
Thanks very much, John Bowler. Yes,
Graham,
go on.
Just before we wrap up,
Yeah.
And everybody leaves the meeting, could I ask that when they do leave, everybody logs on to the club website and checks out this new Red Lion Club, and that those who are able and can do, let's get as many signed up tonight as we can. If we could make 100 tonight, what a fantastic start that would be.
Okay, Stuart, thanks very much. Everybody's coming in with great messages over the last hour and a quarter we've had. My thanks to Dave Artell, the manager, of course, and the full board of directors who've been involved with us tonight. I know Jimmy Rollinson didn't actually appear on the screen, but I know he's been linked into us. Let's enjoy the rest of the season with no pressure. There's no pressure.